The Virginia Horse Industry Board, Southwest Virginia Agricultural Association, and the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association are proud sponsors of Virginia farming.
This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Large or small, Virginia farmers work year-round to help put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Polaris, offering its hardest working, smoothest riding off-road ATVs, led by the rugged, more powerful Sportsman 850 HO. Hunt, farm, or trail. Polaris has the Sportsman ATV you want at Polaris.com.
Hi everybody, welcome to Virginia Farming. I'm Amy Rocher. Governor Bob McDonnell has declared December as Christmas Tree Month in Virginia. Buying real Christmas trees from Virginia growers helps them maintain their agricultural operations and helps expand the overall economy of the state. On Ag Insights, we'll talk with Greg Lemmer, who oversees the Christmas tree farm at Boys Home in Covington. Then we'll learn how to make your own garland when we go in the garden. We'll have a destination spotlight and a minute in the field video. All this plus the ag news of the week on this edition of Virginia Farming. A couple of months ago, we had Hobie Bowen and Steve Willardson on the show to talk about the National Thanksgiving turkey coming from Virginia. At the time, they wouldn't divulge who the grower was, but it was all revealed just days before Thanksgiving. On a cool fall day in western Rockingham County, a crowd, complete with the Broadway High School Gobblers Marching Band, gathered to send off this year's National Thanksgiving turkeys. Turkeys raised by Craig and Nancy Miller of Harrisonburg. Virginia Poultry Federation President Hobie Bowen kicked things off.
I also want to thank Steve Willardson. He's the head of Cargill's Turkey Division, but he's also the chairman of the National Turkey Federation this year. And Steve chose Virginia to raise the Thanksgiving turkey this year. And one of their family farmers, Craig and Nancy Miller, who are here as well. And I want to thank both Steve and the Millers for all of their efforts, and the whole team at Cargill for their efforts to raise these beautiful birds over here that are about to set forth for Washington, D.C.
Virginia's Secretary of Agriculture and Forestry, Todd Haymore, also joined in the festivities.
This was really interesting to learn how this all came together, and starting with Steve and the leadership of Cargill to make it happen. But the fact that these just aren't your average everyday turkeys. These have been selected working with Craig and Nancy to make sure that they are the best of the best. And it's almost, thought I was listening to stories about how models are selected to do fashion runway shoots. That it was a little bit intimidating. I wasn't sure what to expect when I got here today. But these turkeys have been specially raised to not only have the rugged, outstanding good looks that they have, but also be acclimated to human beings. And particularly, they get to hang out with the President of the United States tomorrow. That's pretty interesting. And Craig and Nancy, y'all did a great job in raising them, and I'm sure that President Obama will warmly welcome them tomorrow.
So how did these particular turkeys make it to the White House?
Well, I got the call, I guess in February, from our grow-out manager, Patrick Evick, and he was like, Craig, would you like to raise the presidential bird? And I was like, what? And I said, sure. We had a separate building, and they got special treatment. We called it, it was kind of funny, we called it the Turkey Palace. And actually our keys to it, my wife put Turkey Palace on it. So we've had some fun with it. So we started with 40, and some have been to state fairs, local fairs, elementary schools, and for biosecurity reasons, once they leave, they can't come back. They were raised in on 1,000 square feet, which is an incredibly big space for, what started with 40 turkeys and down to 10. So they had, a lot of space to grow and to move around, and we were just around them a lot. It's been a long time since I raised toms, and I didn't know what to expect. I heard they're very aggressive and very mean, and these are like puppy dogs. I mean, they're really they're very quiet, and hopefully on Wednesday they'll perform just kind of like they did today.
So with that, Godspeed, turkeys. Travel safely and represent Virginia very well. I know you will.
And boy, did they represent. The Miller family and Steve Willardson, chairman of the U.S. Poultry and Egg Association, joined President Obama as he pardoned the birds named Cobbler and Gobbler. From there, the Toms were escorted to their permanent home, where Secretary Haymore sees them acting as Virginia public relations officials.
And let them spend the rest of their lives, many, many years, living at Mount Vernon, telling the story about growing up in the Shenandoah Valley and what a great state Virginia is, and hopefully telling thousands and thousands of tourists to come visit Virginia and learn more about everything that we have to offer here.
Miller says it was a privilege to raise the birds.
You know, I've taken it as an honor. It's been a fun project, and I hope people respect what we've done and what agriculture really is all about.
Well, making the most out of every pound of beef is important in today's environment. In this segment, meat scientist Phil Bass talks about how the meat trade is adapting to increasing carcass weights through creative cutting and presentation. Cindy Campbell reports.
Take it or leave it. Too often, that's what the beef industry has implied to its customers.
The middle meats, talking about the strip loin, the tenderloin, the ribeye, traditionally have just been pulled out in a large piece, and then you just start cutting steaks right down from one end to the other.
But in an effort to retain and grow demand, a third option has emerged.
Because of the size of these carcasses and the size of these animals, these muscles in those particular subprimals or these cuts have gotten larger, and we're still selling by a weight basis, an ounce basis. And so if somebody orders a smaller ounced portion, we're going to have to cut that steak real thin using traditional methods. These alternative fabrication styles will give us the ability to cut a thicker steak that looks better on the plate. It also gives the chef a better opportunity to hit a medium to medium rare degree of doneness, so it gives them a little more flexibility. Helps maintain that flavor, juiciness, and tenderness, which is so critical for palatability.
The flat iron is a popular example of these creative cuts, but there are many others just waiting for a little education to really take off.
CAB takes the initiative as the marketing arm of the American Angus Association to go out and help people better understand what's going on with the beef industry. In some ways, we do go out and talk to some of our licensed retail accounts and show them different fabrication styles. Same thing with the food service cut shops where they cut steaks for restaurants. We help them understand the differences in the different fabrication styles, the cutting styles, but that ultimately does still take a little more effort for us to go out and help educate the consumer, and that's another thing that certified Angus beef does very well.
Carcass weight trends continue to march upward, bringing along the continued need for beef cutting innovation and support. I'm Cindy Campbell.
Thank you, Cindy. The 2012 U.S. Capitol Christmas tree has arrived safe and sound in Washington, D.C. The USDA's Bob Ellison has more.
This year's Capitol Christmas tree rolled into Washington, D.C. after a cross-country trip from Colorado. The 73 feet tall, 9,000-pound Engelmann spruce was specially selected from the White River National Forest to adorn the front lawn of the U.S. Capitol as Colorado's Christmas gift to the nation.
On behalf of the Forest Service, every year we get to bring a gift to the nation in the form of this Christmas tree, and we're proud in Colorado and for the White River National Forest to be able to give this gift and bring the message that more than just the tree is the value of our public lands and the value of our natural resources to America.
You know, it's a gift from Colorado, the people of the United States, and people were just really excited and proud of the fact that it came from Colorado and it came from one of their national forests.
Former Colorado U.S. Senator and licensed truck driver Ben Nighthorse Campbell drove the tree from his state to D.C. He said the tree symbolized his state's resiliency after this summer's devastating wildfires.
I think that was the message we wanted to send, that we had a very tough summer with forest fires, but Colorado's alive and well, and this tree's living proof of it.
In Washington, D.C., for the U.S. Department of Agriculture, I'm Bob Ellison.
Thank you, Bob. House Speaker John Boehner lit the tree on December 4th. Well, the tree that you pick out for your home might not be as big as that Capitol tree, but Virginia tree farms are full of variety and sizes. Greg Lemmer with the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association joins us next. VDAX reports that Virginia Christmas tree growers contribute around $50 million to the state's economy every year. Greg Lemmer is the Associate Director of the Boys Home in Covington, and he oversees their Christmas tree farm in Deerfield. He's also a member of the Virginia Christmas Tree Growers Association. Greg, welcome to Virginia Farming.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
It's really nice to have you here today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Wisconsin, which makes me by birth an obligatory Packers fan, so I'm a happy guy today. I was raised in northern Illinois and attended Drake University in Des Moines, Iowa, where I met my wife, who also works at Boys Home and is very involved in our Christmas tree farm. After graduating from Drake, I spent the next 22 years in the Marine Corps. I retired in 1992 and came to work for Boys Home.
Wow, so you've been there for 10 years.
20 years.
20 years, 20 years. My math is a little slow this morning. Okay. Now, fill me in a little bit about what Boys Home does. I know they're located in Covington. What do you guys do there?
We're an educational residential facility for boys. We began in 1906 when members of the community asked the local Episcopal priest if he couldn't start a school to teach the children and the mountain children how to read and write. As it evolved by the 30s, Boys Home was incorporated. They had a significant piece of property. It had the first generation of buildings and about 150 to 160 kids in residence. Moving the clock forward to 1950, we settled into 80 to 90 kids, and our second generation of buildings began. And in the mid-70s, with the advent of social services and licensing, our license came out with a maximum about 70 kids. 55 is a better number, and we've got a little over 40 in residence today.
Wow, that's a good number of kids.
We have our own school. It's a remedial school with the intent that the children get caught up. I mean, most of the kids coming to us are not where they ought to be, so they can get caught up and re-enter public school as a competitive student.
Okay.
We have a very aggressive work program. Every boy has a job, an age-appropriate job, and that's where the Christmas tree farm fits in.
Okay, so I want to know about this Christmas tree farm. Tell me a little bit how it came about. It was left to the Boys Home? That's correct.
There was a family named Tannehill that resided in Stanton. The patriarch had a landscaping business. He was an only child, his wife was an only child, and they had Joanne, their daughter, as an only child. After working for the government for several years, she repurchased some property in West Augusta, Deerfield Valley, and began a Christmas tree farm. That was in 1960, and her first crop matured by 1969, and she began selling Christmas trees.
Wow.
She became ill in about 1985 or 86, and it was only over a matter of a couple days that she passed away. And she was a lifelong Episcopalian, and somehow Boys Home entered her thought process, and she left the farm. We were the second beneficiary. The first beneficiary decided that wasn't what they wanted to do, and they rolled the farm over to us in 1994.
What a great opportunity. So tell me, you mentioned age-appropriate jobs. What are some of the jobs that the boys do on this farm?
Oh gosh, well, the annual cycle begins in March when we'll take a crew of boys, maybe as many as 15 to 20 kids up there. When you plant a tree, you use a planting bar and you drive a hole into the ground. So that's the planter, and that's probably a 14, 15-year-old kid. And then we've got the stuffer. That's the kid that runs back to the barrel and gets the seedling. He puts it in the hole. And
Stuffer.
The stuffer. He's stuffing the tree into the hole, and that's maybe a 12 to 13-year-old kid. And then we've got the stomper, and that's our elementary kids who come up and hopefully with accuracy will compact the dirt around the seedling with their foot and stomping it into the ground tight.
It's much more fun to be a stomper.
Yeah. And it burns off a lot of excess energy.
Oh, absolutely. That's great.
In the summer, we send boys up for 3 to 4 days at a time. Our gift shop becomes a bunkhouse. They learn some independent living skills. They have to cook for themselves and do their own housekeeping and keep the place up. The farm manager is present, and he guides the boys as they maintain the farm. It could be carpentry products, an awful lot of mowing. So that's a more older kid, you know, a 14 to 17-year-old would be in the summer workforce.
Right.
The shearing occurs in June, again, the same age kid. And we've had some kids that really can handle the shearing machine and create a nice shaped Christmas tree.
Wow.
And then during the season, we offer, when our shop's open, we'll offer complimentary beverages to our customers, and that's the elementary boys' job. Is to greet the customer, welcome them to the farm, and offer them a beverage. Then the older kids will actually go out and after the customer selects the tree, they'll cut down the tree and haul it for them, bag it, and put it on their car or truck.
Well, that's great because there really is something for every age group to participate in.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's great.
Yeah.
We have a few pictures that you brought in, and I'd like to show those now and go over those with our audience. All right, Greg, what are we looking at here?
Well, this is Bo. He's actually from Waynesboro. He was with us probably 6 or 7 years. He's graduated and moved on now. That's a John Deere 770 with a belly mower, and he's mowing the fields. We do more mowing than most other farms because when we've got kids working there, they're not quite as attentive, and we could lose a whole roll of trees.
Right.
So
got to keep an eye on it.
But in this case, he has learned to operate that tractor.
Okay. And what's our next one?
Again, these are two boys operating the walk-behind brush hog. We have 2 of those machines, and they're particularly useful in mowing between the trees. We use the tractor going down the rows, but it takes a hand mower to go between the trees as the tree matures.
And that's basically so people can get in and around them and look at the trees from all sides and...
Yeah, and so when the boys doing the shearing can see them too.
Absolutely.
Our trees, our rows are 9 foot apart, and our trees are 7 foot apart.
Okay.
A lot of tree farms are 4x4.
Oh, wow.
But for when we got younger kids doing the shearing, they need to back up and see. In this shot, this is a teamwork building thing. It's baling the tree. You stuff the butt through the big end of the funnel, and you pull her on through, and it takes 2 pullers and usually 3 stuffers to get that tree through there.
So they get it netted, ready for people to take it on home.
Yes.
All right, and this last shot, now what are the boys doing here?
Okay, we do a lot of handicrafts. They are preparing swags. The lady in the blue is one of our house parents. We bring a house parent up to work with the kids. And the lady in red actually works in our business office, Jennifer, and she is gluing the decorations onto the swag. The swag's a little doorknob piece of greenery.
All right, very nice. So again, a lot of the different ages are being involved all throughout the farm.
Yes.
Now, what types of Christmas trees are available at this farm?
We grow a white pine primarily. The tree we take the greatest pride is the Norway spruce. And then we're having some luck with the Fraser and concolor firs. To a much lesser extent, Scotch pine and blue spruce. In fact, I don't think we even have a Scotch or a blue ready for sale this season. We have several at the 3 and 4 foot range.
So do you kind of plant according to what your best sellers have been?
That and we have so many cultures there on the farm. We know where to plant. You know, the Fraser's got to be in a piece of land that's in the shade in the afternoon.
Okay.
The Norway spruce, it doesn't have to be as well drained. The white pine will grow better with a little more water.
Okay. All right. My last question, do you have any tips for people wanting to purchase a Virginia Christmas tree?
Sure. Go to a Virginia Christmas tree farm or a retail operation that's supplied by a Virginia Christmas tree farm. We sold more than 313,000 Virginia-grown trees. We'd like most of them to stay in Virginia.
Absolutely.
We take great pride in our product. I think what makes the tree is how it's decorated, not the tree itself. I've seen a lot of what I would consider not top quality trees go out of there, and then you get a picture back, and it's just beautiful the way it's decorated.
Absolutely. The Charlie Brown Christmas tree.
Yes, ma'am.
See?
Exactly.
Well, Greg, thank you so much for being with us today. We really do appreciate it.
And thank you for having me again.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We'll be right back. Making your own garland or pine roping to decorate for Christmas isn't as difficult as you may think. Here's Mark Viette.
A lot of our plants in the garden are great to use for holiday decorating. And the real added advantage is the fragrance. Just the fragrance of these evergreens in your home can add so much during the holiday season. And there's so many things you can use. You can use evergreens, you can use boxwoods. All of these things can be cut and brought indoors. And let's go on in the garage and start decorating. I just went out today and picked all these wonderful greens from the garden. So not only can you have these wonderful plants growing in your garden for beauty, but you can bring them indoors throughout the season. And for example, you know, we have pine, we have junipers, and just look at all the different colors that you can have if you want to use them decorating indoors. Then we have concolor firs. And then we even just have the common white pine that you can use for decorating. And then, not only you can use greenery, but you can use things that will give color, like berried plants like a deciduous holly and a regular holly. A couple of real easy ways to decorate for the holidays. One is actually to make roping, and it's real simple. All you do is you take a nail and you nail it in on one end of a table. Just nail it like that. Then you take a twine and you just tie it tight, and you pull this twine all the way across like this. What I recommend that you do is you cut a couple greens in little piles so they're set to go. You don't want to make them too big. But once you're done and you've got all the greens ready to go, the easy part is just to come in here, take a little bit of pine, take a little bit of some of your different greenery. And roping can be very, very attractive. You can get spooled wire like this, and you just start the spooled wire. You take your beautiful greens and you lay them on the string. And you just wrap it maybe 2 or 3 times. You pull it tight. And then you go ahead and you grab a little more greenery. You know, vary the different types, and you just work your way down. And what you want to do is just slip the spool through the wire and pull it tight a couple times so it does not unravel. And when you're done, all you do is you just loosen it, and then you've got this beautiful roping that you can use around doorways, up and down banisters, and it's much better than anything that you would be able to purchase. You can just make this yourself right out of your own garden. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
Our destination spotlight this week is the closest Christmas tree farm to you. To find Virginia Christmas tree farms, visit virginiachristmastrees.org. Whether you select a pre-cut tree or decide to cut one down for yourself, make it an adventure, a holiday tradition that's fun for all ages, and a tradition that supports Virginia agriculture. Well, that does it for our show this week. Have a great week, everyone. I'm Amy Rocher for Virginia Farming.
This program's brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. From apples to zucchini, Virginia farmers work hard to put food on your table. And Farm Bureau works year-round to help farmers and all Virginians. Farming, it's all good. To learn more, go to vafarmbureau.org.
Polaris, offering its hardest working, smoothest riding off-road side-by-sides, featuring the value-minded new Ranger 800 midsize. Hunt, farm, or trail. Polaris has the Ranger side-by-side you want at Polaris.com.